Welcome, future calculus students. Today we're going to review a rule that you learned in taking derivatives known as the product rule. Now, the product rule is a rule that we use anytime we're trying to find the derivative of two functions being multiplied. So here we have f of x times g of x, and we want to take the derivative of this expression. Well, the rule that you learned is that to find the derivative of one function times another, if we call the first function f, the second function g, it's f prime times g plus f times g prime. Now you look in most textbooks, that's exactly how it's taught, and this formula works great. So if I give you the example of finding the derivative of 4x to the fifth times sine of x, if we want to find the derivative, let's first identify each function. We have our function 4x to the fifth as our f of x and sine of x as g of x. Well, if we take the derivative and use this product rule, because again, we're multiplying two functions, we end up with 20x to the fourth, because that's a derivative of 4x to the fifth, times g, which is sine of x, plus 4x to the fifth, because we have f, times g prime, the derivative of sine, is cosine. So that's the product rule. We can use this rule as it is, and we get our answer. Another way to do this same rule without having to memorize the product rule is to use what I call the table ribbon method. So one of the things that I notice with calculus students as we go into harder and harder derivatives and expressions, a lot of times it's just keeping your work organized. And so let's look at this problem in a different way. We're still going to do the same thing, but it's just presented and organized differently. So 4x to the fifth times sine of x. So what I like to use is, like I mentioned, I call it the table ribbon method. And the way that this works is we're going to write our f function and our g function on the top, and we're going to write their derivatives at the bottom of each of those functions. So I'm going to identify our f and g functions. So f is going to be 4x to the fifth. Sine of x is going to be our g function. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the derivative of this and put it here. Take the derivative of this and put it here. So if we do that, it just keeps everything organized, I think. And so now that we've completed this table, now we're going to do the ribbon. The way that the ribbon works is we're going to draw a ribbon that looks like this. And what this ribbon is, when we draw it, is we're going to take this value, or this expression, times this, and then we're going to add it by this times this. And so that's how the table ribbon works. So if I draw the ribbon here, again, it's this, starting here, times this, plus this times this. And so if we do that, we end up with the exact same answer. There's nothing wrong with using this formula up here, but as I mentioned, as we get into higher levels in calculus of expressions and functions, sometimes it helps to keep everything organized. So let's do another example with this ribbon method. So here we have 9x times e to the x. Well, I'm going to create the table by identifying f and g. And again, the way the table works is you write f of x and g of x, your first function, your second function, and then the derivatives directly below. So I'm going to write 9x and ex. And then the derivative of 9x is 9. The derivative of e to the x is e to the x. So again, I'm going to do the ribbon where I'm going to multiply this times this plus this times this. That is how the table ribbon works. So it's going to be 9 times ex, which is going to be 9ex, which is what we get here, and then plus 9x times ex, which is what we end up here. So product rule, it's f prime times g plus f times g prime. And again, that is the rule that you'll find in almost every math textbook. But here's another technique called the table ribbon technique that really just helps organize your work. Thank you for watching this short video. Have a good rest of your day.